Tuesday. So hi everybody, this is a live view stream with two dogs, two kids and anybody else that happens to be walking past. What I was going to do today is work in the Magimorphia book, and I've just been saying earlier that I kind of got a little bit mesmerised by how much detail is in there. And if you start in bright colours, do you finish in bright colours? And normally I photocopy things, because I find if I photocopy them and I don't like them, I can start again. But I must admit, these books I've decided not to do that with. So I've been working on the greens and I've been mixing my own greens. So what I'm going to do is I can zoom in now, hopefully. So if I zoom in, and then I do a magic trick of, I think I've almost, now hopefully, does that look kind of, oh no, let me get rid of that one now. Hi everybody. What I've done is I've zoomed in so that I can get some quite nice markings, and as you can see I've been mixing my own greens because you get such more variety. That one isn't, that's just a watered down one, but I mixed those two colours yesterday. And the other thing is I was going to play with the different greens, because obviously some of these are going to be beautiful and bright, and then under here it's going to get quite dark. And I did want to make the horse a white horse, but with that spillage I had yesterday, even though it was only a teaspoon, it did touch the colour on the other side because the other flowers were wet. So I'll be mixing my own colours, and I was doing it in the hospital on my knee while I was waiting yesterday, so you don't need tons and tons of room. All I did was I had this on my knee, and I had this on my little, I have now a little four-wheeler trolley like a granny. I have a four-wheeler which is my daughter calls it a Zimmer frame on wheels, which is basically what it is. So I was sitting on a chair, so I had just that little book with me, and I used the little plastic side as the water pan. And I worked very dry, so even though it was twisted and tilted, it didn't run anywhere. It is quite zoomed in. That's what I did it for. If you can manage to stand that, you'll be able to see exactly what I do. But do let me know if you don't like it. So if I pull that slightly forward, I just decided to put a little bit of water on all the colours. Some of them on there are doubled up, but I must do what I used to preach, which is you mix with a big paintbrush and you watercolour with a thin one. So if I pop that there, and I'm going to put a little bit of this blue, cobalt, no, it's not cobalt blue, it's celerium blue. That's what it is. So that's quite watery. And the other trick I have is, which I got out and I've put it away, I have another book under here because this is the last page and it's quite flat, but only because there's a book underneath. Otherwise I'd have a bit of a dip there. So bear with me 2 minutes. I've been photocopying the Colin Thompson colouring book, so that I've had an idea for maybe next week, or if I get a chance on Sunday, to, what I've done is I've photocopied them and then I've written at the top corner orange, green, and I was going to mix my own colours, greys, purples, yellows, reds, browns, I think last one's blue, and I was going to make a whole section in certain colours. so then we could mix our own oranges, like we did on the colour wheel, but do the nice bright ones and then do some really dull grey ones. And I thought that would look quite interesting. Is everybody okay? Is that okay with everybody? I'm just quickly flicking through and I can't find what I'm looking for now. And I did have it handy. Ah, there it is. No, it's not there. It's strange. Well, I'll just have to use the back of one of these. I think I have used some. No, there it is. I knew it was there. There. So I always have a spare piece of photocopy paper, especially if you're doing something that you want to keep for best kind of thing. So if I just put that there, what you will see me do is just touch gently, and that'll tell me if that's a pale one. And sometimes, so if you drop a clanger and kind of just do something too dark, you know that's too blue. So without further ado, I shall be working on, I'm trying to do all the, I think they're ferns, like pale green ferns. So there's another one there that I've missed, but again I have a lot of problems in hospital. I couldn't kind of turn this book around very well. So I need a different green for there. So most of this is actually thinking about colours, because there's an awful lot of different leaves. So I think this section here could do to be maybe made, maybe make a yellow with ultramarine and a bright yellow, because that will give us a completely different yellow. I'm trying not to use, I do have sap green and vermilion, not vermilion green, can't remember, there's another green, and I'm trying not to use this. I wanted to make my own up today. So these greens are fairly simple. This one's made with ultramarine and lemon yellow, and that one's made with cadmium yellow and cerulean blue. So that's the cold blue and the warm yellow, and the cold yellow and the warm blue. Because again, they change so much, and that's quite nice. But we'll keep going because oh, my puppy's found a box. Oops. So that's the cold lemon yellow, and oh no, I tell a fib. Wait a minute. No, I tell a fib. That should be a nice bright green, because that's the cerulean blue. Oh, he knows he's been naughty, but he just does it anyway. Sorry about that. So hi everybody. I'm having a. If you wanted me to say it, if you, oh excuse me, if put it in capitals if you want me to react to anything. I've got a tiny little bit of chat in the corner. So those two are now that's a nice bright one. So what I'm going to do now is use, yes, sorry, the puppy is tearing a cardboard box. So this is going to be a warm yellow, and I'm going to put a touch of French ultramarine, and that's given us quite a deep. So if I now take that onto my really fine brush and make sure there's no water dripping, so it's very, very dry, and attempt to follow this leaf here. So I'll test it first, and that's quite nice and dark. So that's given us a really nice dark grey green. like the tea roses, they always have that. So if I go on this side where there's a little bit of a shadow, sorry, puppy's having a whinge, that's given us quite a nice deep colour. Does that look okay? So we'll carry on because it's easier for me to just go under this leaf as well. And that is a really nice dark green, and that was made with the the warm yellow and the warm blue, which is on the opposite sides. So that's why sometimes you think that your blues and yellows make such really dark greens, and that's because on the colour wheel that we did the other day, or the colour circle, if you take the yellow and the green that's furthest away, you get the dark dull green. And if you use the bright cool yellow and cool blue, I just want to be up there just a smidgen. So that is going to be quite a nice deep green. And what I'm going to do is do all the dark ones because two reasons. This is really complicated. You have to really concentrate, because if you don't, you're likely to do a leaf the wrong colour because it's kind of snuck in somewhere that it shouldn't have done. And the other reason is that I need this green to really stay the same all the way through all these different branches. And the chances of making the exact colour again is very remote. So my idea is to paint all these leaves where the shadow is, and then I can go through with some water and I will have a beautiful shade lighter. Does that make sense? Is that okay for everybody? Can you all see what I'm doing? Is it in focus, and is can you hear the puppy chewing his cardboard box? Should you be doing that? Alfie? Yes, he should be doing that. He has so many toys, but he likes cardboard boxes. So as again, because my hands are not very well, I need to turn it so I'm just stroking gently, and I'm not putting too much stress on my hands or my wrist, because in a couple of hours I would know about it. So that everything's okay. Hi to everybody. Thanks for dropping in. I just thought as I was going to colour this, I would just show how easy it is, especially with watercolour, because as I said before, I could not. I think those two joined to this one. It is very complicated, is this one. So again, if this was a photocopy, it would be so much easier just to turn it round. But if I turn that so it's easy for me to do, I'm trying to keep in frame. That's so much easier, and you don't tend to go over the lines if it's an easy angle. If you're screwing your arm around the backwards way. Now that's actually gone paler because it's watercolour. But if you did this in acrylics, I might do a couple of photocopies in acrylics. The colour mixing for this book might be better in acrylics. So we're here now, and we've kind of done all that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a little bit of this colour. This was the dark. So this is the cool yellow, lemon yellow, with a cool blue, which is cerulean blue, and this is ultramarine blue and cadmium yellow, a warm yellow and a warm blue. And look at the difference. So when you get, that's why I always buy two colours of the primaries, two yellows, two reds and two blues. From that you can make anything. But if you wanted to make a browny green with this, they would be so different depending on how you originally mix your secondary colour, which is green. Does that make a bit of sense? So what I'm going to do now with this, because it's watercolour, I can take a little bit of this over here. And again, just gently touch, if I don't get a hair on it, just touch that, and that's a shade lighter. So if you were doing acrylics or oils, you would add a touch of white. So where is our leaf? I've lost my leaf. This is the other problem with this. I've lost my leaf. Where on earth is my leaf? They are so complicated. Ah, there it is. Found it. So that's my leaf now. So now, in theory, that should give me a lovely contrast. There's not much in it, it's just slightly paler. So, but that does make it look more realistic. And again, I'm just stroking. Now I've got 3 leaves out of that. So if I put that back there, that leaf is underneath. I mean, you could play with that even further and say, well, if that was underneath, it would be a lot darker. But what I intend to do for a start is just to get some semblance of order. Now, what's happened? Nothing, it's just me. So is everybody okay with that? So all I'm doing is just now taking a slightly watered down version of the one I've just made. So that would be fine, and I could do another one very similar, and it wouldn't matter if it wasn't perfect. But I've managed to get these 2 colours quite nicely together, so it looks that little bit more natural. But it's so much easier to do that than having to get 2 pen tops off for me. So that leaf is almost done now. I haven't decided whether to do it a fawn colour, the stem, or whether to do it a green, but I shall leave that. All I'm trying to do is to just get some semblance of order, because it's very easy to make a mistake in something so complicated. So I shall find another one of those, which is here. And I probably will move that across. So I'm going to go back into the dark mix again and just double check that it's still dark. Does it help if I'm zoomed right in, or is it kind of a little bit strange? So this is a very difficult one, this one. So if we start here, we're doing the dark first. I love these books, but sometimes you look at them and you think, oh, where do I start? So if you did all the darker leaves first, you then can just kind of keep track of what you're doing. And because I'm not working very wet, it dries extremely quickly. I mean, I do have 4 lamps on, but it does dry very quickly. And you see some are a little bit darker than others. Oops. Some are a little bit darker than others. So that means you get a little bit of a variation, which you would do in nature. They've done all the hard work for us. They've put all these lines indicating shade. So we do know that they all go that way. So that's quite good. So I do have to keep, and I've cardinal sin. I've actually folded the book back on itself, which I promised I wouldn't do again. So I think that's one there. I hope I'm not making anybody dizzy. Is everybody okay? The pen I'm using at the minute, pen brush, is a liner. But I sometimes use a rigger, and it's a 10-0, because you have such a long brush, but most of it's just damp, and then you just have a tiny bit of colour on the end. That allows you to get quite nice shades, because every time you use it, it gives you a little bit more of a gradient of colour without dipping your brush again. So I think we now go here. So these are amazing drawings, but you have to really concentrate on what you're doing. I don't think you could watch TV and do this, really. I did last night, but I only did a very simple leaf because I don't think it would take you wrong, take you much to go wrong. And there's something nice in mixing your own greens. I mean, that would probably never come out of, that probably won't come out of. Is that okay? Thank you, Phantom. Thanks. If anybody's got any questions or anything, just put them in capitals, because I can see those slightly better. Don't know what that was. Everybody decides to make a noise when I go on camera. So I think we've just about got that leaf done. There seems to be one hiding behind here somewhere. So, but that seems to be a different flower. I've chosen that's a different flower. I don't know if anybody else has thought that. I think I will do that one. There's one on the end there. And I haven't decided whether I'm going to do this a black background or leave it a white background. I wanted a white horse, but it depends if I can get away with that little bit of smudge that appeared. But again, that's another thing. When you can photocopy it, you can do one with a dark background and you can do another one with a light background. I think there's quite a lot of that kind of swirly one there. I haven't decided what to do with the dragonfly, so I've left it. Some people do those first. There's little creatures hidden. There's a caterpillar and there's a butterfly there. But I haven't decided. I think I might just wait until I've done all the greenery. So again, if you look at the dragonfly, it's very easy to think that that's actually a leaf. So again, you've got to be that little bit careful. I think I will do that one. I'll do all that one, because if it's behind that rose and if it's under that wing, it is going to be darker. And then there's that one. So I'm still working in this darker green, which I've made with the two opposites on the colour wheel, the furthest away, which has given me kind of a dull green rather than a bright pea green. But there's no reason to say that you can't, for something else, to get a different green. I will mix ultramarine, which is a warm blue, with a cold yellow. And that's taking it another step further. So if we're there, so this is quite therapeutic. As I say, there's no stress, and when I get my pens out, I drop everything, and I don't tend to. I work on a little cushion tray where everything's just handy, because sometimes I can't even move my elbow. So everything has to be very, very easy and very accessible. So I think I might just do that one green as well. But you might decide to do them the opposite way around and make everything lighter where it should be darker. I hope I'm still in frame. So I shall keep waffling on. So that's going to be dark because it's going to be really underneath this kind of flower arrangement as the horse's mane kind of flows out a little bit. It's very clever. So that looks quite nice. It's a little bit different, and then when it's all green, you have a variation of greens. And let me find another one. I think I found one here. I can't believe that I forgot to press record on the second half of the stream, but on Tuesday, which was all about colour. But excuse me, I'm going to have a quick slurp. So where was I? I was there. So what I can do now is to go back into the paler one. And as again, the beauty of working this dry is that you can go back to that almost immediately, because it is, and just test. So that's the dark, and then I want to test to see what this highlight is going to be next to it. So that's going to look quite nice. And it's only a piece of photocopy paper. So I can now go in with the brighter. And just a couple of strokes, even though this is a fine brush, there's hardly any pressure on your hands at all. And I mean, even if you didn't have arthritis, I've missed a leaf there, so I can just bob in there and just do that. Even if you didn't have arthritis, if you're colouring for hours on end, I think it would get kind of quite painful, even though, as I said, there's nothing wrong with your hands, because your hands will go into cramp if you're using pencils all the time. And, I mean, this is a very pale green, really pale green. But if you're not happy with it, when it's dried, you can go back and put a different shade on it. Let me see if I can find another one. So I'm slowly picking these out, and I think that flower could possibly be that one. So I shall attempt to mix that again. I think I used a warm yellow, and in fact I can remember what I did it on there because it has a hole in it. So I think I used that cadmium red, but it's a pale. Yes, because I used that for the second one, and I made a lovely orange. But again, your oranges will be completely different. That doesn't look good. Doesn't look really that good. Let me just have a look and play. Well, you see, if you paint the edge of your paper, here's a good trick. If you paint the edge of your paper, then you put it down. You can see if it's near. So it's not bad. It's not brilliant, but no, this is a colouring in thing. It's not a masterpiece. So I can now start on this flower. And I think I was just doing the centres. And always remember with watercolour that they do kind of dry lighter. So we can just kind of wing it a bit for that one, because there's going to be so much to look at that if you did make an odd little mistake, it's not going to stand out really, because there's just so much to look at on these pages. I think what I was trying to do is to get the tips to stay kind of white, and then we'll have a yellow body. So it's not brilliant, but it's not far out. You wouldn't have thought that I'd have done it at a different time. Again, there's a little bird there. Haven't decided what to do with the hummingbird. I think I'd like to have him really sparkly greens and fluorescent, the really vibrant blues, but haven't decided yet. And then we have the snail, and there's a string of pearls, and again I can't decide whether to leave them white or to do them just creamy pearls, which I think is just an off-white colour. I've left the daisies because I quite like those as daisies. I've missed those two though. Right on the end there's two flowers, so I'll go back and see if I can make that pink, but I know which one that one is. It's pretty sure it's this one, but again, if you're not sure, in fact, I'll tear a piece off and then you don't have to mess it up with a large one. Yes, that's definitely the wrong one. I can't think if I actually made that colour. That's nearer, so it's going to be the cadmium red, and it's some kind of, in fact I think I might just think it's that one actually. There's no reason why. If I'm not happy with it, I can just add a touch of a different colour. Now I just want to be that little bit pinky, just a touch more. And that's almost the same, my in frame. Oh, my canvas gone. Is that better? So it's almost exactly. So I've kind of found that colour, and again I want to see how strong it is, because I did want it a little bit weaker at the top, as sometimes the flowers are. They're always stronger near the stem, and that's the beauty of watercolour. You can just add a little bit of water and just tease that colour out. Again, that doesn't look like I did it at a different time. I think I found another one of those flowers. Yes, I found another one of those leaves. I'll leave that underneath and then it's not confusing. So I'm going to do that one next. So, hi to everybody. I'm trying to watercolour the horse, which is the last page on magimorphia, and I'm trying to mix my own greens and my own colours today. So I've mixed an odd mixture of blues and yellows to get some quite dull greens, because we were talking about bright greens and dull greens on Tuesday. So if you make a colour wheel with the warm blues next to the warm reds and the cold yellows next to the cold blues, so when you mix the two cold ones together to make a green, you have a very vibrant green. But if you mix a warm yellow with a warm blue, which happens to be furthest apart on the colour wheel, you will find you get a dull green, almost a grey green. So this is quite good for shading. Has anybody coloured this page in? Let me know if you've coloured it in, because some people do them kind of really bright, vivid colours, and I'm a bit of a wishy-washy. Found another one there. So the idea is to just go along and pick them out. It's like anything that looks kind of really scary and complicated. You just have to work. I mean, I must have looked at this for a good hour before I started anything, before I started to paint, because there's such a lot to see. But as I say, it's like a complicated recipe for cooking. If you get all the ingredients laid out and measured and all in order in pots, you just have to add them in the order that they are. That makes it sense to you. And the same with this, you pick out the easy bits to do. And once I've got most of these greens, this is one of the major leaves, so I think everything else will kind of fall into place. So you can pick them off and colour them in. And then at the end, if I'd have coloured in the butterfly first, I hadn't decided what to do around the butterfly. So I might have done in red, but I think if I do in red, it's not going to stand out as much as if I do him in blues and yellows or purples. And the other thing I might do is actually Google what butterflies look like, so I can pick out a really vibrant one. So there again, I found another one. Now my colour is getting a little bit. So what I'm going to do is put some more ultramarine with the cadmium yellow. And again, that's given me quite a dark, almost a dirty green. I would think they almost look kind of dirty. And now I've looked away. I've lost the leaf now. Where on earth was that leaf? I think that was it, wasn't it? Yes, I think that's. Some of the leaves are very similar. I'll be more notchy and just. So I'm going to put that back where it was now. Oops. Because I don't want a big crease down there. So I think those are going to be quite dark, but I'm going to do them a different colour because they're a tea rose. And I think that one there would be. And again, I didn't actually check the colour, but if you see it next to that one, it's not far out. But that one's all green. You don't have to take any notice of what people have drawn. It almost spoils it being in a second page. Just have to have a quick slurp. There's nothing nicer than cold tea. So I think I'm going to leave that one because I remember the tea roses are quite a deepy green, but they're not dark, they're deep green. So I'm going to play with the greens a bit more for that one. I'm going to take this one because I found another one there. It's going to be a bit awkward, is that? This flower, I think, is the same colour that we had earlier. So is everybody okay? I seem to be just waffling to myself. I still can't decide whether to put a black background and have a white horse or have a white background. Did I ask if anybody had actually coloured this page in at all? I see this. I'm going to find this quite difficult at this angle, but it'll be okay because I don't not intend to do it all day. And then that one is a little bit darker than that one. So if you go over it again, you can start playing with shapes and forms and shadows, and to give it that little bit more bit of depth. This one. Now, I would have thought in real life that might have been green, but I think buds are slightly brighter. And then I'm going to water that down a little bit because I think that would be a little bit paler. You can't see much progress at the moment because I'm not zoomed out, but if you keep picking them off one at a time, and because that one is on the other side of the page from the other one, the colour's not perfect, but it doesn't really matter. Now these are something else different. There's a butterfly right on the end, so I don't know what I'm going to do with him. That's something else that I haven't seen before. This is the magimorphia by Kirby Rossans. Oops, paintbrushes. Do you want me to zoom out and do a page flick for you? Has everybody seen this book before? It's been out a while, I think. Well, I say a while. I think it's the beginning of the year, but I think lots of people have coloured it. If I zoom out, and I do this magic thing, I just have to move that very carefully. So can you see the book? Have you coloured any in it, Terry? Terry says she's got the book. The second one is the animorphia. This is the magimorphia. Now I don't know which one came first, I have to say. And that's how I started. That was my first page, and I was going to write my name, and then and that's watercolour, but I normally do them in but the greys on there, if it'll, they're graphy tint. Doe went do some graphy tints, and they're all kind of like metallic metal, sorry. They're all grey shades, and they're fab for all this mechanical things, and there's quite a lot. So I was panicking. I kind of started with this, and that was the first one because I thought that was the easiest one to start with. I don't know why I thought it was the easiest one, but actually I think it is. Probably it's the last one, but I think it is the easiest one. There's the fox, but when you first look at it you think, oh my goodness, but then you can pick out all the, it won't work if I lift it up now. It's probably 2 seconds. If I lift that up now, oops. When you start to pick out a certain leaf and then a certain flower and certain animals, it becomes a little bit easier. But the trick with these, I think, is to actually just sit and look at them for quite a long time. Is this the one that didn't Dee Dee do the, yes, the spider? There's and there's the bugs. I think there's a spider in this one. Yes, I think Dee Dee did the spiders, didn't she? In silvery, spidery, shiny. So, as I say, I think most of it is actually sitting and looking at it and working out what's actually there, and then thinking about the colours. And then once you've done that, you're halfway there. Oh dear, that just hurt my hands. I mean, that's like one mass of butterflies. But do you do that one colour for all the butterflies the same, or all the butterflies are different? That's why I photocopy some, because I think that would look fab, all the same butterflies. A bit like when the monarch butterflies kind of morph out. Or do it all different butterflies for different colours. So I see two things that I want to do at the same time, so that's why I kind of photocopy everything. The butterfly. And again, I can't make my mind up. Part of me wants to do ink tens, and part of me wants to do the graphy tint. Because I did Thumper. I did Thumper with 3 different colours. I've got this one out. I'll show you this one. You see, I photocopy it because I did Thumper in the Hydrus colours. But the first time I did him in, because it was for Thumper before as I said, Little Rabbit, before he left the planet. I photocopied it again, you see, because it could do a brown rabbit. Now, I did think I had Thumper here somewhere. Then I was doing him again because I didn't like the yellow ears, so I was playing about with colour, and that was my practice one. And then there's a tiger, but I didn't like that one because I didn't like the yellow. But because I photocopy it, I could do it again. And that's the beauty of photocopying. And again, that was I started that one and I didn't like the way the pink was going. I wanted to do more form, and I thought that nose was too dark. And so eventually you get one that you really like. Of course, because I want to find Thumper now, I can't find Thumper. But I did him with 3 colours. We just had 3. Can't believe where he's gone. I just did him with 3 grey colours, and they're graphy tint. I think one was gunmetal. Pretty sure one was gunmetal. Let me have a look. See, I take this out with me, and it's like I've got a suitcase full. When I go away at weekends and sit behind the model railway show stall, I used to take a suitcase with me full of things. They're the graphy tints, the Derwent graphy tint, and they are fab. And they're the only ones I don't really mix because they're so muted. You just don't want to. I can't actually put my hand on Thumper. No idea what it is, a Peter. I'll quickly show you what my daughter did, and of course she puts me to shame, bless her. This is the book that they are photocopied from, the Menagerie, and that's one of my daughter's sketches. And I gave her my Prismacolors because and there's the tiger that I photocopied. But this is another one. The graphy tints are Derwent graphy tints. That's what my daughter did with a Prisma. If you bear with me 2 seconds, I will get them out. I've had a bit of a tidy. So I think they're with the Prisma colours. And these are graphy tint. And these are 24. And if you look at the tin, that's... I can't show you very well because it's... But they are kind of like muted colours. And all these have just been used to scribble squares into my little book. But as you can see, it's kind of more like a muted colours, but they're beautiful colours. And also, just having 24 gives you enough to get to do some quite nice things with them. But they do react differently. If you use them straight onto, in fact, I've just realised I might do the butterfly with them, because they will be fab. But if you use them straight onto here and then you wet them, two things. Most papers don't like it. But the way I work is I will scratch. Well, I'll do it two ways. I'll show you that first. So that's technically how you use the graphitint, the ink tens, the Derwent watercolours, and you will fill that in. But the way I use them is, that's my little square of colour. I will just touch the colour and I will colour in and get the shades. But how you would normally do it, and with a graphitint, and that's what Dee Dee did yesterday, is to then wet that and push it around, and it's a lot stronger, and I don't think you have as much control, and I can't scribble for long, so I couldn't use them like that. But this way you have some really nice control, and you can still make a pad and then be stronger, but I think you've got a bit more control over them. And also the pencils stay at home, because I'll be dropping that tin over time. So that might be an idea to do without the graphitint. I think that would look quite good. But I would probably photocopy it, because I love the way that photocopy paper reacts with dry, well, I say dry watercolouring, but it's watercolouring, but like I do, it's fairly dry. It's a small brush, and it is fairly dry. Where was I now? I put the book away. So the Animorphia is this one. And again, it's a good idea to kind of colour these in the first few practice pages, so that's quite good. Well, there's 4. And then I was looking at this thinking, well, these little creatures get on my nerves. Are they going to be white, pink, purple? And again, you've got the green fern and the toadstools. So you have to pick. I've studied all of these and couldn't decide which ones to do. Again, when you first look at that, you think, oh my. But then when you start to pick things out and see what's in there, you can actually come up with a little plan of how to colour it without giving yourself too much stress, because obviously it's supposed to be relaxing. And again, you see, I would probably do this one, the colours that the animals actually are. But again, the graphitint for the elephants and the bears. The graphitints will be fab, and the browns for the owls and things. So again, it lends itself to a good photocopy. So you can do one colour and then do another. The cheetahs would be vivid yellows and golds, wouldn't they? Is that the American golden eagle with the white? No, not the golden eagle. I can't think what it's called. It's one of the biggest eagles, isn't it? With the big white. I can't think what it's called. And that one, he says, colour in your own doodles. This is the one I was going to do for a lady that we lost, Wolf. And I was going to do them all in graphitint, and then just have one in bright colours, because that's what's her colours. So the fish I thought was wonderful, but I'd be too scared to. Again, I would photocopy that, and I would do it with the blendable pens, because I could use those, and they just blend themselves. You just go from the outside in, from the no, you do pale to dark and pale to dark, and you just kind of go in a flow motion, quick, and it's done. I might show those one of the streams I do one of the days, because they are pretty good, and I can actually use those. And again, the owls are pretty amazing. Has anybody else got this book? I think this is the one that they have hidden things in, don't they? You have to find things. Only when you've coloured it will you find things. I mean, the bear's pretty amazing. I watched the Canadian bears, our new stream, when I can't sleep at night. In fact, it was off air this morning at 4. 5 to 4 I was up this morning. And it was off air. And I've never known it being off air before, but I would think that the fox is beautiful as well, isn't it? Have you cut... Terry, did you say you had it? You had this book. Have you coloured any... Oh, you said you coloured the fishes in. Sorry, I've got short-term memory loss. See, the tiger's pretty dramatic as well, isn't it? But, I mean, do you do that as a real thing, or do you do it as a made-up, blown-up little toy? And the bunnies and the bears, I think they're all children's things in there. And the dolphin with a crown on. I think it's a dolphin. It's a pretty amazing book, I have to say. But I finally decided, when I go to the hospital to see the specialist, I'm going to have 2 new knees. They wanted to do it when I was 49, and I said no, because they wouldn't last. But I don't think it's a good idea to leave it, so it's time. I'm a bit of a chicken. So I thought, if I take my colouring book, yes, you've got to find all these things in the books. So that was but I bought them for £5 at the Works in the UK, because I mean they are fab, but £10 for a book is a bit steep. It is for my budget anyway. Having said that, at £5 I decided to buy both. Bit of a greedy girl. And I say I'm a bit of a... Didn't even think about this one, because I've had the laptop sticky. Is it a laptop cover to stop your laptop getting scratched? When we had big, huge laptops. Try not to look at the colours too much, because I want to do my own colours rather than be influenced. But I've photocopied it quite a lot, but I thought these lended themselves to groups of colours. So when I was doing my colour mixing, I thought I would do different colours, and you could write on the... I don't know if you can see, there's almost a shelf, the edge of the shelf, which would lend itself to a fine pen. So I intend to colour mix them and then write what they are. Just a cad red and yellow orange, or cad red, and I've got about 4 reds, so I shall make lots. I'm going to do 1 page of oranges, orange colours, so that lends itself to 2, 4, 6, 8 to 10 different variations of yellows and reds to make oranges, from burnt oranges, dark shaded ones, to the bright yellow oranges. And then I'm going to do the same for I think there's 6 pages like this. There's that one. Has anybody else got this book? Now, I've seen that, and it's all in beautiful greens, and I wish I hadn't seen it. I saw it by accident, but we're back. I must have put that into bubbles. That's all That's all kind of greens, and it's like an English countryside. This, I mean, this. I would say this is quite an easy book to do because you obviously pick a small area. But putting the colours together, and I say I'm just mesmerised by that. But it's actually a cat coming down the stairs. So there's a section. In fact, you could do it on all these, but I did think that if you did each book, and then as you go along, you can change the hue, and we will talk about intensity and hue and tone. So you can have your middle colour as your proper red and yellow, but then you can add whites or water if it's a watercolour, and you can add the complementary colour to have a grayscale. So just in one block, you would know that you've used, say, a cadmium yellow and a cadmium red, and you have this beautiful orange, and then you would have all the shades. So you could have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, possibly 14 shades of orange just with cadmium red and cadmium yellow. And then you could use Elysian red and cadmium yellow, and that would give you totally different colours. And then you could go to a lemon yellow and a cold red and do the same again. So you would have 100. There's 10 by 10. You would have 100 oranges. And instead of doing it, I said about doing it in a little book. You could do it in a little book. Just look for my little book. You could do it in a little sketchbook, or you could do it in some fun ways. Especially this book. This book, I mean, although having said that, it was £10, which is a bit expensive for me. But if you photocopied each one, you could then pick out a section, and you could do a mono colour again. So you can pick out some oranges that you like and just do one in oranges and practice doing it just in one colour or two colours, because every one of these lends itself to be different sections, lends itself to. So you, instead of having a boring square, you could colour this in and make some really interesting finds, because it's fascinating. When I was thinking with the browns with this, making your own colour browns, and again if you're making your different oranges and you add your different blues, you're going to get different browns, and that could be a whole page. So I might do that, actually. I might start do that. Do you think that's a good idea? The title is Colin Thompson's colouring book, but I think it's called not fantasy, it's not Fanulicious. What is it? It's Fantasia? Fantastical. It's the Fantastical Worlds of Colin Thompson, who did I think it was a jigsaw, and then it was the. But that's what I might do with this book. There's 6 pages like this, and so they just lend themselves to colour play. Now, did I do the link thing? I don't know if I did the link thing. I don't actually know how to do that. I think Terry showed me how to do it last time and I forgot. I'm really sorry. I don't know how to do that. I always thought I was quite intelligent until I started streaming, and then everything kind of disappears. But that's what I might do for the colour mixing then. So you can see it because it'll be black and white. And that makes it a bit more interesting than just putting them in squares and writing down what they are. And you can put it in a book form if you want. It is a beautiful book. I'll flick through it actually because it's just amazing. Now I do lots of doodles with books. That's my thing, but I don't make them into little houses and have little worlds. There's a house. There's a house inside that one, and some have got little steps, and there's a tree and a pair of eyes looking out. I mean, how amazing is that? And then there's all the doors, and again that would be fun because you could have lots of colours. And this was the this, I think it's based on the Escher artist, who he was always managed to do. There's a name for the kind of art, but the kind of, they work one way and another way, and I can't think what they are. But the books have got little legs. How amazing is that? Isn't that amazing? And they're sitting down or they're flying. And then if you turn the book this way, there's a cat sat. And that works that way. So they work sideways. I'll turn it over the other way. So that way, that works that way. And then that one works that way. They have these strange creatures. And all these fab books. I mean, you could do the colour scale there. You could start at purple and go to yellow as you mix. Or start at purple and go up to the top and then go back down to yellow, because that's complementary colours. And you get all your grayscales. There's lots of ways of doing it. Once you start playing with colour, you can do anything. This is a fascinating page as well, with the water lilies. I can't remember what I found the other day. Oh, I know what I found. One of my favourite books is Pride and Prejudice, and there's a colour book for Pride and Prejudice, and I thought, oh, yeah, I've got to have that. See, I love that. That is fab. Look at that. All those greens you could get in those leaves. All the little houses. It's amazing, isn't it? So that's on my wish list, is Pride and Prejudice. And bricks as well. That was my other thing. I used to draw lots of bricks. And there's the trains, and it's just fascinating, isn't it? I'm not sure if I'd like to colour it. I'm not sure. These are almost like monochrome. I mean, I thought they were sprouts. And I thought that teapot, I looked at it 4 times, that teapot. And I think it's Victorian. My nana has it, and it's yellow with an orange thatched roof. But I didn't see that it didn't have a proper spout. It's a little duck. Isn't that amazing? You could look at these for hours, couldn't you? And those two have got legs, as if they're real. And of course, I think that's a patchwork balloon. Who on earth would think about a patchwork balloon? So I shall get back to drawing again in a second. Again, I thought the browns would be fab. I've got a poppy underneath the desk. and I'm always frightened of trapping him. The graphy tints would look nice with these as well, because they're kind of and there's Dee Dee's waterfalls, look. And then there's a book holding a tree up. How amazing is that? And there's another side with books as well. So there's some good pages that that lend themselves to colour mixing, and a bit more exciting than looking at so I shall get back to the painting. I've just got a couple more, but I thought you might like to have a look at that, and that's another painting with that's the one I'm going to do the greens, because of the green tree. I did have a little, one's got a pumpkin on it, so I thought that's got to be oranges, orange, all the different oranges I could make because of the pumpkin. I think that's the last page, yes. And that's the jigsaws. They'll be fascinating to do those in jigsaws, won't they? So that's the little book. But as I say, I was using it to hold up my book. So my paints have dried, but being watercolour, they've forgiven me. So we'll get back to our horsey. Now, did you want me to zoom in, or would you prefer me to stay zoomed out? Which is easier for you to see? Excuse me, quick slurp. How long have I been going for? Because I think what I'll do is I'll stop this recording and I'll start again, if that's okay. So that was my waffle of watercolour and what I'm going to do for the watercolour mixing and the colour mixing. But we might do it with watercolours, acrylics, and water-based oils as well, because they're more of a vibrant colour that you can see vibrant purples, whereas when you mix them with watercolour, they're a bit wishy-washy. So thank you for watching for there, and I shall stop this recording for YouTube, and I shall come back to my drawing in a second.